This is your chance to have a meaningful career in digital and broadcast media. In an industry that is so notoriously hard to break into, our digital media training can open doors to employment and kickstart your career.
I think it's definitely given me a lot of skills that I've ended up applying to on my CV. So I've done YouTube optimizing, and that was through my placement with Warner Brothers. And because of that, that's actually got some attention from like my CVs, and that's all the skills I learned from digital media.
Trainees will gain 6 weeks of hands-on digital media training at the Sky TV campus. You will learn end-to-end digital media content creation, how to develop and pitch ideas, self-shooting, video editing, how to publish and distribute content, monitor analytics, and much, much more.
Coming from a different background and stuff, I knew pretty much nothing about digital or like how to get into that field. So I think it gave me a lot of insight, a lot of good knowledge as well. It gives you that confidence. So like, for instance, doing the original content, that was really good because it gave us that kind of skill set of like coming up with a brief, going to shoot, having an assistant with you and stuff. It gives you that confidence. I think, yeah, it's definitely given me kind of like a direction I want to head towards.
If you want to go into digital, I feel like it's a good experience to kind of learn how hardcore it can be. Because if you're doing it just by yourself at home and like editing your own YouTube videos, it's at your own pace and whatever. But when you have to do it for a broadcaster, it's so much more fast paced, and there's lots of deadlines you've got to meet. So it's a good training for that, I think.
The 6 weeks of training is followed by a 2 weeks paid work placement with one of our industry partners. This experience will put you in a stronger position to apply for future jobs.
Yeah, I think Mama Youth, it's the support you get. Like once you finish Mama Youth, you're an alumni forever. So even now I can go back to our talent manager tools, who's been very helpful throughout my career until now. So I think it's mainly the support that Mama Youth gives you. I don't think in other schemes you might have that, because you might do the scheme and that's it. But with Mama Youth, it's carried on throughout your life.
At the end of the 8 weeks, you will have the chance to become part of our talent pool and receive 6 months of career follow-on support with access to industry jobs and bespoke career advice. You will also have the opportunity to enrol in our 6-month mentoring program, where you will be paired with a high-profile industry professional for a 6-month period.
I think joining Mama Youth, you kind of have almost another sort of route. It kind of opens up a few more doors. You can kind of meet new people.
I don't think I would have got into the industry as quickly or as easily or without as much confidence without doing these training courses, because Mama Youth teaches you the discipline of the media industry, but as well as how fun and creative it can be, and the type of people you can be working around.
You must be 18 to 25 and live in specific London boroughs. So check out the website to see if you're eligible to apply. The application deadline is Monday the 22nd of November. So what are you waiting for? You don't need any experience, just a passion, commitment and determination to succeed and change your life. So apply now.
Put yourself out there and apply to as many schemes like this as Mama Youth, because that's like pretty much the only way in. And just like, I think for me, it's just working hard. I think if you work hard, then your hard work will get recognised.
The world of digital is growing, and it's bigger than you think it's going to be.